Hello and welcome to L'Exception. In this episode, I'll be talking about the new year and how much we fuss about it. I'll be discussing New Year's resolutions and why I've given up on making them, taking a look back at 2023 and looking forward at what could be in store this 2024. First up, New Year's resolutions. We associate the idea of kicking off the new year with a fresh start, as if we magically get a do-over with our lives when we start a new calendar. We make promises that this year will be different from the last and that we'll finally get to do what we always wanted and become better people. Making those promises is one thing, keeping them is another. The top search results about some stats on New Year's resolutions look grim. A study from the Ohio State University found that only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. 43% end up giving up by the end of January. Another article by Time says that 80% fail at their resolutions by the time February hits. Given those percentages, it does seem like making New Year's resolutions is just an exercise in futility. Failure is often linked to various factors such as setting unrealistic goals, poor execution, or fizzling motivation. Oftentimes, we pressure ourselves to make such significant life changes that we can get overwhelmed. Since we don't get to reap rewards or see any significant changes instantly, we feel like we've already failed and end up just quitting. Such surveys and studies are rare in the Philippines, so we really don't have any hard data to go by. So from limited observation, I'm inclined to think that we do suffer from similarly high rates of failure. We can probably channel our inner gossips and survey our social media feeds and check who among those who vowed to lose weight, get richer, find true love, or be happy actually did. Culturally, we do have the concept of Ningas Kugon, where our enthusiasm fizzles out rather quickly. Well, personally, I've given up making New Year's resolutions. Starting the year with a recurring list of shit I failed to do over the past decade is just tedious and sad at the same time. But that doesn't mean that changes shouldn't be made. Take health improvements, for instance. I've always vowed to lose weight and get fitter. Last year, I lost around 25 pounds, but that wasn't due to diet and exercise or any significant effort. I even bought a treadmill that remained barely used until today. The weight loss was due to health complications. And those were a lot of pounds shed, actually, considering I was around 40 pounds overweight to start the year. Funny thing is, after addressing those health issues, I've already gained half of the weight I lost back. So it's kind of weird that I inadvertently achieved what could have been last year's resolution, and yet I subconsciously failed at it as the year drew to a close. So the more I think about it, it seems like I was destined to fail. So why bother, right? Do I plan to start losing weight again? Well, sort of. The wife has been encouraging me to get healthier, having health scares mainly due to poor genetics and bad life decisions, and reconciling that with how young our kid still is, should be enough to scare me into trying harder. So, if it's just one of those things that need to get done, why time committing to these changes in January when we typically have brain fog from all of the celebrations and leftover Noche Buena and Medianoche? Uh, I'm just putting these items into my ongoing to-do list that just spills over from God knows when. There's no need for me to force a do-over just because the calendar incremented another year. That said, I'm not here to discourage anyone from making a list and committing to it. My futility shouldn't be yours. If you happen to have made resolutions for 2024, well, best of luck, friends. Statistically, you have a few weeks left before you fail. So now, looking back, introspection and taking stock of what experiences and memories you managed to bag are good. If you're going to take a look at my online activities, whether it's on my old blog or YouTube channel, I'll usually squeeze in a retrospective to begin the year. So it's something that I'm doing right now. And oftentimes they were just rants of how the past year sucked. Was 2023 more of the same? Well, it feels like it. But let me recount some of the good and bad things that transpired in the past 12 months before I finally just file the memories away for posterity. Globally, it's nice to see most of us getting back to our pre-pandemic routines. But too bad, world peace is still an illusion, the war in Eastern Europe is still a thing, and there's the whole Holy Land craziness still going on. I missed out on the Barbenheimer thing, two supposedly pretty good movies, but we're still avoiding confined spaces and sitting next to strangers, so we're sort of waiting for them to be released on Blu-ray or on streaming platforms. Sports-wise, none of my favorite sports teams won a championship, so there's not much to cheer about on that front. On the personal end, 2023 did have some of its moments for me. I landed a new job last January. So I've been heading content for an e-commerce and digital media company, and it has been a sweeter gig compared to what I did previously. Sometime in 2021, I tried taking another stab at making a difference in the local education sector. Those who have been following me online would know that it's sort of my advocacy. Unfortunately, in this last effort, I ended up working with some buffoons and bozos who prioritize profit over doing the right thing. Obviously, that didn't go well. To cut the story short, that would be my last foray in education for the time being. The system is broken anyway, and I need to take a break from the whole thing. Good thing I took on the new opportunity when it came, and my work has been going rather okay. The family and I were also able to take a much deserved break and vacation. We might not have been able to go out of the country, but we spent a good week in Boracay, at the more isolated side of the island. The kid absolutely had a blast since she got to appreciate the powdery white sand beach without the hustle and bustle of the usual Boracay haunts. I kid my wife in this, but since that side of Boracay is mostly occupied by middle-class families and older tourists going on vacation, there was an absolute dearth of beach eye candy, if you know what I mean. Still, quite a relaxing break for the family. I got to play and finish The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Personally, it's my game of the year, largely because the game kicked ass for me. It was fun and enjoyable and immersive all at the same time. And it also served as our informal babysitter the 2 months the kid was on break from school. So she did also enjoy playing it. I haven't been able to play Baldur's Gate 3, which released also this year. So the Zelda game takes top spot for me in terms of video games for 2023. I tried to continue working on my photography, but work got in the way. Though I was able to upgrade all of my gear from digital SLRs to mirrorless camera bodies. So I guess that's a good thing that I'm finally embracing newer technologies. The wife and I were also able to manage a few big ticket purchases. We were also able to send the kid to school and didn't end up in the red. So on the finance end, not so bad. And speaking of health complications, I mentioned earlier, I actually survived the surgery. So I guess that's another win. So anytime that you wake up from general anesthesia, I think that's something to celebrate about. So yeah. Aside from nagging health concerns and the general anxiety about growing older and feeling as if I haven't accomplished enough at my age, I'm actually struggling to pick out anything major in the negative. Well, it is sad that there were some people, some friends, mentors, and acquaintances we lost last year, but that's mortality to you. In hindsight, 2023 wasn't so bad for me personally. And going through several years of the plague has set the bar so low of what makes a year good that any year that you were able to do something else aside from surviving could be considered a good year. Now, looking ahead. Putting my cynicism about New Year's resolutions aside, we can always have some splash of optimism. On the work front, it looks like I'm being reassigned to deal with more commercial stuff. I don't know if I could consider that a promotion or what. But that means I'll most likely be looking for a creative outlet to balance things out. I'm trying real hard for this to be it. But given how inconsistent I've been with regard to these projects, I won't be pressuring myself. It might also be photography, but that's often harder to squeeze into a busy schedule. Photo shoots demand preparation, and spontaneous shoot opportunities come few and far in between. Otherwise, I'm not really planning anything too definite for 2024. As long as we keep ourselves in relatively good health, meet our obligations, save some for the future, finish a few more video games, and be less anxious and stressed, I don't see any real need to really fuss about things for now. Though it's funny how some things creep into your subconscious. If you're among the superstitious type and worry about things like pangitain, our Filipino version of portents and omens, you might be keeping a close eye on how your year has been going so far. You see, just nearly a week ago, I was cleaning my desktop computer, and it's something that I do routinely every quarter to prevent dust buildup, because dust kills electronics. So there I went, brushing the components and blowing the dust, taking care that I don't damage anything in the process. Then after putting everything back in place and booting the computer up, what happens? Two of the case fans just conk out. Now, talk about something bad happening to start the year. Now, considering that the computer is still functioning after, me replacing at least one of the case fans. But my rig's already nearing 7 years old, which means I'm technically 2 years overdue for an upgrade. And I've been putting it off for a lot of reasons. Anyway, failures are bound to happen to aging electronics, but I just can't just easily shake off the idea whether or not this will be an indicator of how good or bad the year will be. So probably that's one of the reasons why people just give up on resolutions by February. Once the negative stuff piles up in the first few weeks of the year, I might as well just write off the year as another bad one for the books. As Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Still, I'm hoping that things will be okay for everyone. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.